Hi, thank you for clicking on the video, and I hope everyone is doing really well. So today's video is going to be taking a more personal look at the concept of calorie counting, calorie tracking. I'm going to kind of outline my experience with how I started counting calories and how it progressively turned from something that just normal people do. It's a totally meaningless thing. It has a purpose, but it's kind of meaningless, and how it turned into an obsessive behavior that pretty much consumed my entire life. That process starts about 10 years ago and leads up until just a few weeks ago. I learned at a very young age, probably around the age of 3 or 4, not what a calorie is, but I learned the concept of calories in, calories out. I didn't know the word calorie or anything about it. I didn't know anything about nutrition. I'm a 3-year-old, okay? But I did get exposed to you eat less, you weigh less. You eat more, you move more, you weigh less. But that is something that a 3-year-old doesn't need to know, but for whatever reason, the universe decided I needed to be exposed to this. And this concept, while I didn't really acknowledge it as a 3-year-old, subconsciously it was festering inside of me, and it kind of was dictating my future chances of developing an eating disorder. Let's fast forward to when calorie counting really became something that I did religiously every single day. This is how extreme it got. I was counting the less than 1 calorie in a stick of gum. And I would have panic attacks when I wasn't able to pinpoint the exact number of calories, like to the decimal. Like there were times it was like 100.03 calories and I had to include that 0.03. So I've mentioned in previous videos where I talk about my ED story and how at one point when it was starting to get really bad, I was not tracking calories, but I was tracking the number of things I ate. And I gave myself a number of items per day I was allowed to eat up to. I preferred to stay under. So basically, I would write down everything I ate and I would count the number of things that I ate. If I stayed under that allotted number, I was happy. And if I went over, I would find some way to punish myself. Most days I would stay under that number. I never allowed myself to be proud of myself because I just have a problem with accomplishment. I've never been able to let myself be proud of myself. Even on days that I stayed under my goal number, I still never really let myself be truly happy about it. And I'm honestly saying this isn't something I should be happy about, but I'm just showing just how messed up my mental health was. I took a health and conditioning class, and in that class, we did a section on nutrition, and we learned about nutrition labels and calories and how to calculate like the percentage of protein, fats, and carbs based on the calories. Like from the calories, what were you getting percentage-wise, and how to properly track macros and things like that. However, my teacher is not the best educator. He skimmed the surface, barely. He left big holes in his lessons. Obviously, this was just a high school health class. He kind of gave us information and then I ran with it. Like I sprinted in the wrong direction with that information, and that is how I started tracking calories. So I kind of took that initial goal number of food items and I kind of translated it into a very low number of calories. And of course, over time, that daily caloric intake goal got gradually smaller and smaller. The education of that class lacking a lot. Left a lot to be desired in learning, knowledge, and understanding calories in a healthy way. Between that, my already unstable mental health, state of mind, and other outside forces and circumstances all combined into one jumbled mess, calorie counting became my way of controlling life. It was something that I enjoyed because I really like numbers. I like math. It gave me this thing to look forward to at the end of the day. I wouldn't count as I went along. I counted at the very end so that when I saw that total number, I could know if I had a good day or not. It wasn't if I had fun that day or if I enjoyed the things I did. No, it was all day long. I'm getting to the the moment where I get to calculate my happiness for the day. Calorie counting is not a bad thing. I know a lot of anti-diet culture advocates will say calorie counting is a form or a symptom of an ED. It can be if you do it improperly. In and of itself, calorie counting is not bad and it's not unhealthy. It can be a tool to be used for good purposes, healthy purposes. I did not do that. I'm sitting here today to tell you I did not do that, and I took it way too far. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I was counting calories in gum. I would keep myself from going places. I would panic and decide not to go certain places because I didn't know if afterwards I would be able to count exactly and track exactly the number of calories in whatever I ate. Or I would go to things, be miserable because I would keep myself from eating. I gave up counting calories for a few months in order to gain the necessary weight my doctor wanted me to gain. But in the back of my mind, I always knew that eventually I'm going to start counting calories again. All I'm doing is I'm eating more to reach a goal weight that my doctor wants me to be at. Once I reach that goal weight and I move out of my parents' house and I'm away from all this where they're controlling me, I can go right back to doing what I know, what I like doing, which is counting calories and making really bad, unhealthy decisions. I moved out on my own. I didn't go back to extremely strict calorie counting. I just went back to being more conscious and aware of the calories in what I was eating. So I might not write it down, but I would look at what I was eating before I ate it and decide how much of it I was going to eat, and always just keeping those numbers going in my head, because if you do it for long enough, eventually your brain becomes a calorie counter. It's gone too far is when you just look at a thing and you know exactly how many calories are in it and you're like, whoa, I need to slow down, I need to change something. But my brain was not healthy because I was so focused on gaining weight, I didn't focus on combating the actual problem, the ED itself. My doctor was just obsessed with me gaining weight, the number on the scale, and that's the problem, because I was obsessed with the number on the scale too. So eventually I made some new friends, and calorie counting wasn't something I wanted to do anymore because I realized calorie counting was keeping me from having fun. It was keeping me from enjoying the moments with my friends. When we would order takeout while everyone else is just, getting their food, opening it and eating it, and we're like watching a movie or whatever, I'm sitting there letting my food get cold, trying to calculate and figure out what is the calorie content of what I'm about to eat. Then you miss out on so much time with the people you want to spend time with. I appeared to be happy and having fun with my friends. There was always this internal turmoil going on, this constant battle. Me, numbers, and food. Three of us, we don't mix well. I wanted to enjoy my time with my friends. It's taken me a lot of years to learn what it means to have fun with my friends and not obsess over food, numbers, my body, and just being present in the moment. I didn't know how to do that because I had been so isolated and so not present for so long that it has taken me, I'm still working on it. That's how long it's taken me, but I've come leaps and bounds. Now I'm just thinking about it, and it's crazy how far I've come in that area alone. Circumstances, however, made it that I ended up no longer having some of those friends in my life. I had more me time, and when I have more me time, I have more time to think, plan, plot, count, calculate, and obsess. So as my life changed, where I was living changed, things around me were changing, friendships were changing. The only thing that didn't change is the number of calories in food. I just always had this need inside of me, I have to know what I'm eating. Ever since I started, and to this day, I have this pull to just need to know what is the calorie content of what I'm eating. I need to calculate. But I would resist the urge to do it religiously, strictly religiously, just constantly. I would do it from time to time. That desire to do it from time to time gradually turned into all the time. All I wanted was to be healthier, leaner, fit, and I thought by counting calories, it's a way to stay accountable, to kind of know what you're eating. It all started very innocently. You hear this a lot in ED talk. It was just an innocent diet that went too far. It went too far in high school. Why did I think it wasn't going to go too far this time? About 4 years ago is when I started calorie counting daily, every single thing. Not so much gum anymore, and I wouldn't count condiments all the time. Sometimes I would, it would depend. Liquids, I didn't count. So it wasn't as strict, but I was still counting every bite. Like, I had to know. It started as, I want to make sure I'm eating enough. And then it gradually turned into, I think I'm eating too much. I need to cut this. And then, oh, I'm feeling a little extra bloated these days. I better cut it again. The more I had a desire to learn about nutrition, the more I wanted to know about my own nutrition. Like, it's one thing to have a general education in nutrition, but I wanted to know my nutrition. I wanted to find out, how many calories does it take for me to feel full? What's my typical caloric intake? I just had a lot of questions about my own personal nutrition, and so calorie counting gave me the answers. In this sense, calorie counting is a useful tool if done properly, and I thought, I'm going into this with a different mindset. I have a different purpose in mind. This is healthy. And for a while, when I wasn't super strict at the beginning, it was fine. It was an easy thing to do. I would just track what I'm eating as I'm going, or I would just make a note of what I ate and I tracked it later. It wasn't that big a deal, but gradually over time, it became, I have to do it in this moment right now. And again, it took over. So at this point in time, again, I didn't have a whole lot of friends, and so I had extra time to be meticulous. I told myself, you can be lenient, you don't have to track every single thing. Gradually over the course of the past few years, those little leniencies changed, and it became a strict religious daily ritual of mine. Like, it was a thing I had to do. It got to the point where I realized this was taking over my life, and it was not making me happy. It was not an obsession that was bringing any joy to my life, and it wasn't bringing any fulfillment or purpose. But the very thought of not using chronometer, stopping counting calories, made me so anxious, to the point I told myself, that anxiety that you are getting over not counting numbers, that is proof alone that you need to stop. I stopped for a week a few months ago. The first couple days were kind of difficult. Like, I would open chronometer and look at it and then close it. And then by the end of the week, I was fine. But then that week ended and I was like, okay, I have detoxed from counting calories. I can go back to counting calories. I don't know what I was thinking. So yeah, I went back to counting calories after a week. My brain told me that since you didn't count calories for a week, your calorie goal has to be like 100 calories less than it was before. And so I decreased my calories again. My calories were ridiculously low up until about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago. I haven't tracked calories in those 3 to 4 weeks, however long it's been. And sure, there are days where I'm like, I need to start tracking again. And the next morning I wake up and I'm like, nope. Not going to do that, because I know where that path leads. And I don't want to go down that path right now. I'm healing and I'm just letting myself eat what I want, what I like, how much I want, and it's not dictated by numbers. It's hard to put into words the internal need to track calories. All I can say is sometimes it feels like there's a pit in my stomach, just like feeling so sick, like I've done something wrong because I haven't tracked. And that feeling has subsided for the most part. I mean, obviously when I have like a bad day, just in general, all sorts of negative talk pops up, and this is one of the things that likes to play on repeat on my more not so fun days, my negative days, my sad days. Because I had, I guess, failed at not tracking in the past, I was scared and anxious that was going to happen again, and that I was going to be riddled with anxiety because I didn't know the calorie content of what I was eating. But I was pleasantly surprised. This time is not like any of the other times before. I don't know what it is. I don't know why this time is easier. I've just told myself, some days we eat more, some days we eat less. More than what? Less than what? Some arbitrary number. And I don't need to know that number, and I don't need to know the greater number that's above it, that I eat over it or under it. I don't need to know. This is one link in the chain that I'm breaking. And this is a big step. And to have gone so many weeks, can I say proud of myself? Oh, I don't know. I'm still working on trying to be proud of myself. But I wanted to share the story, my story of what's been going on recently, because I was tracking for so long. Like, I started over 10 years ago, and on and off again, on and off again. And when it's on, it's bad. When it's off, it's bad. But this time I'm off, maybe forever. I don't know. There might come a time where, for whatever purpose, I do need to use the concept of counting calories. But until then, I'm off counting calories. If you do count calories, make sure you're doing it for healthy reasons, and you're doing it in a free way where it's not controlling you and deciding for you what you want to eat and not. I think if done properly with the right purpose, there's a reason for the practice of counting calories. If it's taking over your life, you might want to stop. And that's the case with any behavior. If you find yourself obsessing and it makes you anxious, if you think about not doing that behavior, you might want to stop doing that behavior. I'm just saying. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you did not enjoy it, you can give it a thumbs down. That is cool too. I don't mind. If you're not subscribed already, please consider subscribing, and be sure to hit the notification bell to stay notified of all future uploads. If you have any comments, questions, video suggestions, anything at all, feel free to leave that in the comment section below. Be sure to follow me over on Instagram, and I will see you next time.